Farrington School.
Hello, good morning. It's nearly afternoon here in the UK. It's lovely to be with you today. My name's David Jackson. It says Fiona Vale on the screen, but it's actually David Jackson who's presenting, and it's lovely to be with you today. I'm just going to share my screen, if I may. Bear with me a second. Perhaps I'll just carry on as I am actually for now. I'm head at Farrington School, which is a school in the suburbs of London, about 10 miles from the centre. I've been head there for 5 years. And I've been involved in boarding schools for a long time. In fact, I used to go to boarding school not a million miles away from Wellington School, actually going back in time. And we have a beautiful campus, 25 acre campus, just on the edge of London, not far from the airports of Gatwick and Heathrow. So really popular with many of our international families who are coming to us. The routes to Gatwick about 45 minutes and about an hour from Heathrow. Let me tell you a little bit about Farrington's. We are a school of about 650 pupils, aged between the age of 3 to 18, although our boarding community is really in the senior school, not in the prep school part of Farrington, so from the age of 11 upwards. And we have two boarding houses, West House and South House, one for boys and one for girls. And we have a really strong Christian ethos as a school. Chapel lies very much at the heart of our school, both in terms of where it is geographically, but also in terms of our ethos. I think one of the things that people particularly love about Farrington's, if you were to ask them, is the high level of pastoral care, how well the pupils are known at the school. We're a school that treats every pupil as an individual, really gets to know them well. And I think that's reflected in our boarding community in the sense that they feel like two very much family-run boarding houses. And very much at the weekend, it feels like one big family, down to the chefs knowing how the pupils have a particular sort of culinary preferences, how they like their eggs cooked in the morning. I think it's as nice as that. So our fees are very competitive, and we pride ourselves on not putting lots of hidden extras on the bill for parents, so they know that the fees that they're paying are the fees. And likewise, we don't have exeat weekends here at Farrington. So when term is running, the pupils are here the whole time. And I'll come on to talking a little bit about what a weekend would look like for families in due course. I'll come on to academics too in a moment, but to say as our school is a school that has small class sizes in the senior school, never above 20, and often a lot lower than that, particularly as pupils move up through the school. And that means that parents can be reassured that teachers have really good knowledge of individual ability and know best how to support children in the appropriate way. But we also pride ourselves a lot on being a school that has a holistic approach to education. So academics are hugely important. We're very aspirational for the children in our school, and I'll come on to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But we also see education in a broader way than that. We're interested in the personal development of every child. Sport is hugely important for us. To pick up on the question that was asked by a parent a few minutes ago, we have a number of pupils here who are elite performers. Football is a particularly strong sport at Farrington's, both for boys and for girls, and we're enjoying a lot of success locally, regionally, and at a national level. And a number of them are playing for Premiership clubs outside of school, and we support them with that on alongside their educational studies. So quite a lot of experience, particularly in football, but in other sports as well. And likewise in extracurricular interests such as dance and drama, and we have a number who are performing at a high level outside of school. So we have a lot of experience with that. I think the result of all of that is our pupils feel very happy, very part of an inclusive, welcoming community here. And as a consequence, their exam results year on year are something we're really proud of, both in terms of the raw grades that they get. So A star, A, B, at A levels, 7, 8s and 9s at GCSE is very common for our pupils. And that's a particularly thing we are proud of, given that we are quite a broad ability school. We are not obsessed with league tables. We are proud about the way in which pupils develop during their time with us, just as we are proud of the really good grades that we get year on year. And so as a result of that, the vast majority of our pupils choose to go on to universities, very often Russell Group universities. 90% of our pupils get their first choice university year on year. Others go on to their reserve choice. But we're also seeing a number of pupils now exploring the apprenticeship scheme idea. We had an example last year. Our head girl went on to do a degree apprenticeship, doing an apprenticeship with Deutsche Bank. So having a degree at the same time as working with a prestigious bank in the city. So impressive pupils like that. I think for the size of school that we are, I think parents are amazed by the breadth of academic subjects that we have on offer, about 25 GCSE subjects and likewise at A level, and that's a big range, and that is very much something that we try to tailor to the individual desires of the pupils that choose them. We have a similarly very popular and very highly regarded careers program, which was in the finalist twice now in the Independent School of the Year Awards for the quality of support that we give to our pupils who are wanting to go on to university, into the workplace, to make sure that they are supported appropriately. But equally, as I said earlier, we take real pride in the sense of well-being that pupils have and in their personal development. We have a chaplain who lives on site, a really strong team of tutors, and really dedicated, most importantly, obviously, for this presentation, a really dedicated set of boarding staff who are overseen by a head of boarding, Mr. Sam Palacios, who himself has been a boarding housemaster in 2 different schools prior to coming here, and has particular experience of working with Nigerian families, and in fact will be visiting Nigeria for the 2nd year running this March. Talking about some boarding a little bit more detail then in the boarding houses, as I say, 2 really well-equipped, really cozy family feel boarding houses, one for boys, one for girls, and well-equipped in terms of kitchens and common room spaces. Pupils within the sixth form are all in single or 2 person rooms. Pupils lower down might be in a room of 3, but never typically bigger than that. And the vast majority of our boarders are full boarders. That is to say that they are there 7 days a week, unless they go out for a weekend, maybe with a day pupil friend or with a family member. We have a number of weekly boarders, but we equally have a number of flexi boarders. And I think that's a really nice part of our boarding community. And it's very much a reflection of the fact that the boarders and the day pupils are integrated incredibly well within the same school community, which is great. The weekends are really busy for the boarders in lots of ways. We are a school that prides itself on the trips program that we run to a whole range of places. There is a trip run every single weekend without exception. So to give you a few examples of where pupils have been this term and last term, we very much take advantage of our proximity to London. So visits to central London, a river cruise on the Thames to go and see the London Eye. Blue Water Shopping Centre, one of the very biggest shopping centres in the UK, is 20 minutes from us. But equally, we want to sort of broaden borders horizons as well. So we look at more cultural excursions as well, to Leeds Castle, to Hever Castle in the last 3 months. When the weather is sunnier, we're not far from the beach either, so that's a nice day out. Our pupils have been to see a West End show, Mrs. Doubtfire, cinema trips, bowling, paintballing, laser tag, a whole range of activities to make sure that they are enjoying one another's company and are able to develop new skills and interests and to sort of broaden their horizons, as I say. Equally, it's true to say that our pupils really benefit from having the whole campus to themselves at the weekends and are able to use our sports hall, are able to use our indoor swimming pool, are able to use the music practice rooms if they want to, as well as being really well supported with their academic studies, homework sessions during the week, but equally tutors in the house who are there on hand to help and support them in the right way, which I think is really well received and something our parents are very grateful and appreciative of. Just to talk a little bit about our Floriat program, which is our activities and enrichment program, which again is something the board has really get to enjoy. That's something that we introduced 3 or 4 years ago now, incorporated within the week. So it's an addition to all of the activities that we run before school, at lunchtime, after school, whether that's performing arts. We have our Legally Blonde school production next week, which we're all really excited about, but it may be debating, it may be public speaking, it may be chess club. But Floriat is a separate add-on to all of those things and something that all pupils get to do during their time with us. And it's a range of things, from scuba diving to beekeeping to podcasting to law society. The list goes on and on. And some pupils go to our local ski slope, horse riding, golf, climbing, a massive range of things that the pupils can do. And I think that's something that is really grown in popularity and is something our parents often comment on, day pupils and boarders. But we're equally keen that they have opportunities to develop teamwork, to have leadership opportunities, to be part of the Duke of Edinburgh Award scheme, and to go on trips, not just the trips I've mentioned at weekends, but bigger, further field trips as well, which I may come back to in a little bit. I talked a bit about sport earlier. As I said, football is probably our jewel in the crown sport currently, but equally we offer a huge range of different sports as well. Netball, basketball, tennis, cricket, rugby, athletics, cross country, swimming are all really popular sports, and there are fixtures organised every week, as well as opportunities for pupils to represent clubs and their county and regions outside of school as well. We have quite a number of pupils who come to us, a little bit like Wellington was saying, who come to us on scholarships, and we offer a range of scholarships. And we look at a number of different areas for that. Typically, scholarships are valued between 20 and 50%, and they are awarded on the basis of academic merit, and that would obviously be in the form of school reports, but also in performance in our English and Maths entrance exams and so on. But also not just for sport, but also for sport, for the performing and creative arts. We also are very keen to talk to families for whom a scholarship may well be of interest to them. Who have a child, a son or a daughter with a particular talent, whatever that may be. And we see our scholars as pupils who we really wish to support with their particular talents, such that they can really get the best out of their time at school, but equally that they give back to the school as well. And that may be in a variety of ways, helping the sports department with fixtures, being good ambassadors for the school on open days and so on. Just to talk a little bit then further about the performing and creative arts, we love having our drama productions, our dance, but I should also talk a little bit about our creative arts. We have a good range of those too, not just art, but food and nutrition, graphic design, so a really broad range of subjects, but also interests that pupils can engage in after and during the school day. So I think I'm happy to take questions from any parents who have them. But suffice to say, we're a school who, for quite a number of years now, have had many Nigerian families come to the school. We have about 15 different nationalities within our boarding community currently, from Nigeria, but also from other countries in Africa. Ghana, Liberia, Kenya, but also from Asia, from Hong Kong, from China, and then closer to the UK, from France, from Spain, from Germany as well. So it makes for a very international feel. Like Wellington, we too are looking at our International Day for this year, an opportunity for us to celebrate the different cuisines, but also fashion from different countries around the world, music, and so on. We had our two Chinese pupils actually this morning talk about Chinese New Year. So it's an indication of the way in which we want our international borders to have an opportunity to share their culture and that keyword diversity, which was mentioned earlier. I could go on, but we would love to hear from you. To have any questions that you have, do visit our website, because that gives you a real flavour of what we are about. But I'll stop there, and thank you very much for your attention and for listening this morning.
Thank you for that beautiful presentation. And of course, we have questions for you. So the first question goes, how do you identify, check, and prevent bullying in your boarding house?
Yeah, that's a question we get asked a lot, and I think we talk a lot about. I suppose it forms part of the induction when pupils first arrive in the school. We are very keen from the outset to talk about the values that we want to sort of live by. We have very much an open door culture here, that pupils know that they have a range of people that they can go and talk to if they feel that they are being isolated, if worse than that, they feel they are being bullied in any way. And we have a number of people that they can talk to, house staff, but also senior pupils within the school. We are a school, as I said earlier, that knows the pupils incredibly well. So if we see a pupil who is not quite themselves, who is not sort of behaving in a way that we know to be normal for them, the communication and dialogue starts incredibly quickly. We are blessed to have a community which really looks out for one another, and I think that's something that many of our parents would say. That's not to say that we have never had pupils here who've not found it difficult to settle in, but we very quickly are attuned to that and look to put support in place. Bullying has no place at our school whatsoever. Let me be really clear on that.
I think I like that much attention to detail. Okay, so what kind of career guidance and university counseling services does your school provide?
That's a good question too. Well, I made reference to our Farrington's Futures Careers program earlier. So if we talk about higher education, and first of all, each of the pupils within the sixth form has their own form tutor. They are particularly chosen form tutors who've been working with sixth form pupils for a good number of years now. So they get good support in terms of helping with their personal statements, such that they are selling themselves in the best possible light to admissions tutors at university. The process regarding careers, I think, starts quite a bit earlier than that. We have employers coming in to do mock interviews with our pupils. We have a careers advisor who also comes in year 11 and talks to and interviews all of our pupils about potential future pathways. We have admissions tutors coming to the school to talk to pupils, but equally we go and visit one or two universities with our pupils in year 12. We have during National Apprenticeship Week coming up next week, but we also have Careers Week, and during that we have people from local businesses and from businesses further afield. Sometimes they are our alumni who come back and talk about their experience, what they look for in candidates when they are interviewing. So we do a lot to support pupils in the right way, not to tell them what to do, but to present them with the options that they have, and to make sure that they are we are proud of our pupils and are really keen to find out what it is that they've done when they leave us. We don't see our job in a funny way as having finished when they leave us. That association lasts a lifetime here, and we want them to come back and share their experiences with our pupils, because that's in many ways more powerful than what we can tell them, because it's current.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the last question so far. Hello, David. How competitive is your admissions process?
How competitive?
Yes, how competitive is your admissions process, particularly for international students?
Yeah, look, we take every single pupil on their individual manner. As I said, we are a broad ability school, so in one sense, we're looking for high achieving pupils, but most importantly, pupils who are motivated, who want to do well. We don't solely look at the exam performance, important though those things are. We want to get a real sense, and that's why I will interview every pupil, or the head of boarding will, in order to get a real sense of why Farrington's feels like the right fit for them, and whether we feel that this is a good fit for them. It's a place where they can really thrive, which is what I want every pupil that joins us to feel is the case. But equally to think that actually this is a pupil that is going to contribute positively to our community as well. So yes, it is competitive, but it's not. We don't see ourselves as an academic hothouse. That's not what we're about. We want every pupil here to develop the passions and interests that they have, and it may be academic, but it may not be. It may be in the world of sport. It may be on the stage. So
amazing.